Ridiculous, like over 2 hours or anything like that.
Yeah. I've only done so. You're my second one so far. The first one was only an hour, but it just depends how the conversation goes, I
Hmm.
guess. So
Who was the first one?
it was Jason.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Did
They brought me Super Mario Odyssey on a dare.
you say he bought you Mario Odyssey?
I believe it was because I think it was when Odyssey was coming out, and they were just like, "Oh, it's gonna get delayed." I'm like, "I bet it won't," and then it didn't. And they just
Oh,
bought it, and I didn't have a Switch at that point, so
so he had to buy it for you.
yeah,
You won
it
the
tasted
you
nice
won
though.
the bet.
I did. That's all I could do with it. I'm like, well, they say not to lick it, so I'm gonna lick it.
And how did it taste?
Sort of bitter, but not like as much of a deterrent as it really should be.
All right. Well, welcome to
Right.
the Content Free Time Interview Show. Not sure if I'm going to call it something else, but that's what we're going with for now.
Hmm.
Would you like to start by introducing yourself?
Okay, I'm TomatoGhost, that guy who hasn't made a proper video in like 2 years, but I'm clinging on to some level of relevancy.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm in the same boat. I did I same thing. I didn't upload for like 2 years, and
Hmm.
at least for me, th- there's just something that's always pulling me back. It's like even though I got other things I can focus on, other things to do, it's like, but it would really be nice if that YouTube channel took off.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always in the back of my mind, like, I could, because today I was just like, I'm just playing Mario Galaxy. I could be writing something, but I could just keep playing Mario Galaxy.
Or you could make a video about Mario Galaxy.
That is tempting. That has been on my mind actually. I'm like, oh, there's ideas there. And then it just becomes a loop of like, basically I've got a list now of like what games to review, and I know it'll take ages to get through them.
Yep. Is you been playing anything recently besides Galaxy?
I got to play Ghost Trick for the first time, which is like that's a very me game if ever there was one.
Yeah, so you like it.
Oh yeah, I mean I think it's from the same like people specifically who did Ace Attorney, and that's one of my favorite franchises. So it's Ace Attorney, but you're a ghost and you're wearing like a red suit. I'm like, yeah, that's all me. That's all I want in life.
And there's puzzles. The puzzles are pretty
They're
good
up,
in the game too.
yeah, it's a straight up puzzle game with great characters and music and all that. I
Yep.
highly recommend it.
I do too. I That was one of my favorite DS games back in the day.
Hmm. The
Um,
the sad thing is I missed out on it on DS because it's one of those that it sort of snuck by as an underrated gem, and then the price skyrocketed.
yeah, I just lucked out because I had no idea it existed for the longest time, and then
Mm.
my cousin actually recommended it to me. I was like, oh,
Ah,
how did I not know about this? This game's
this
amazing,
random one-off game.
right? How
Mm.
far are you in it?
I've beaten it now,
Okay, you have. Okay, so you
so
know
all the mysteries unfolded, and it's
all the
beautiful.
twists. Yeah, it's really good. Favorite character?
Oh, Sissel. I mean that's just peak character design. The moment I saw like just a man with spiky hair, sunglasses, and a red suit, I am so in.
I was pretty fond of Missile myself.
That's also fair enough. I mean, they both rhyme, Sissel and Missile. I mean,
I was
that's
gonna say,
and
did
they're
you say
both brilliant
Sissile or Missile?
characters. I assume that's deliberate. I guess that's a deliberate
I would think so.
choice.
So, how did you get
Hmm.
started on YouTube?
So, it was something I always wanted to because I grew up. It's the same old thing. I grew up with the Jontrons and the peanut butter gamers and all that, and I was like, oh, I could do it, but I never felt that like drive to be like, oh, to definitely set out and do it until I watched. There was like an old panel with the hidden block lot, like Youngtown, Kedikris, all that, and then one person did just ask Youngtown, like, oh, how did you start? To which he said, just do it. Just make a random video. So without a script, I had like a really crappy capture card and like barely a functioning like camcorder. So I was like, I'll just play Godzilla, see what happens. There was no script. I sort of retroactively wrote it, and then here we are, like what, 7 or 8 years later, and now there's some cohesion with videos.
It's awesome. I understand you're into acting.
That's very true. Yeah, that's the excuse I cling to when I haven't made a video. But that is true. That is like
It,
I've got the whole like I got the union stuff and I got the stage name and all that sorted. So it's happening.
Is that like your main thing now?
I mean there are I mean the last month not a lot's happened, but before that I was doing some work and I think I've already got some stuff next month. So I'm hoping to get to the point. That's one reason I've been setting up like a voice booth as well, is to do like voice acting on the side to like fill in the gaps. But primarily, yeah, that would be the goal.
Voice acting was always my dream job as a kid. Even as a kid, I didn't know it was called voice acting yet. But when they asked me in school what I wanted to do when I grow up, I said, I want to be a cartoon voice.
Is there like a like dream franchise or series you'd love to be in?
Oh, gosh.
I'm interviewing you. You must answer.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be in their favorites? My favorite series are Sonic, Pokemon, Kingdom Hearts. Anything
Oh
like
yeah,
that would be awesome.
that would be one. I mean, Pokemon's possible because I think someone like one or two people that started online did get into the anime at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have so many characters to be voiced now because they have all these little YouTube cartoons
Mm,
and the
oh,
anime
they do.
and the
Yeah, that's
games.
true.
There's so much.
The games will never have true voice acting.
Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap
That's
kind of
true.
had
I
it,
forgot that. You're right. The prodigal son Todd returned and he was voiced. That was beautiful.
right? They,
Oh yeah,
I, I really think the main games need voice acting though.
they do. It was there was that moment. Was it in Sword and Shield with like the rock concert? That was just a bit embarrassing.
I know it looks so awkward. Just like the voices look like they're meant to be synced, but it just nothing's coming out.
That was bad. You know, I kind of respect it in an awful, awful way. But
Yeah,
Sonic voice acting still. I mean, that's even if it's cheesy, it's still fun.
yeah, I totally agree. Like I even miss a lot of people knock the voices in from Mario Sunshine, but I kind of wish they'd bring it back.
Especially Bowser. That was a fun one. I mean, what
Yeah,
else would Bowser sound like? Well, Jack Black, I guess, but still in that same tone.
Jack, do you prefer Jack Black's Bowser or the one from Sunshine?
I mean, yeah, it has got to be Jack Black, hasn't it? He did knock it out of the park.
It's pretty good.
Like overall, the voice acting in that was actually I liked all of them except maybe Cranky Kong, but other than that, yeah, even Mario and Luigi, I loved. I think they were brilliantly voiced.
I do too. I think they did a good job. So your acting, is that mostly theater that you do?
At the moment, yeah. So there's like I joined a theatre company that we did some like children's theatre and stuff, and that went to like Edinburgh Fringe and stuff. So that was very nice. And now I've joined a local group that sort of do pop-up performances at events. So there'll be like an event going on. It'd be like, oh, we can do like storytelling or songs and all that. So that's fun. But only like last weekend, I got to have a crack at being an extra on a film. So that was interesting.
That sounds fun.
It was very fun, very patient work. There's a lot of moments you're like, we've been here for 8 hours, and I think they've shot about 2 minutes of footage. But
Wow.
it's just that fun of being on a very, very busy film set. So I'll be curious to see how I look blurred in the background of that.
Yeah, yeah. I saw you've been doing a bit of writing and directing too, huh?
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's I've been writing. So writing's a slow process.
Oh yeah.
I'm currently writing a play, but I've written about 10 pages, so that's a start. But I mean, it's better than having written no pages. And directing. I mean, I've only done like short student film directing, but I'm hoping at some point, hopefully this year, is I want to do TomatoGhost, but with more people involved. So that would be interesting to try.
Yeah,
Can I at least direct small YouTube videos?
that'd be cool.
That would be very cool.
Is the acting your favorite though, or do you prefer the writing or directing?
Oh, acting easily because it's just like you're just I mean, there's definitely freedom with like what you can bring to it, but at the foundation of it, it is like you're basically being told like here's the script, here's like the tone and mood we want. I'm like, okay, if I can just follow direction, I'm fine. While if you're the one giving out the direction, it's your job to really convey that across and make sure they get it. Otherwise, it's really hard to get across sometimes.
Right. Do you
Mm.
do you have any specific roles that you've done that you'd like to plug or on the show?
Sadly, I'm currently between shows.
Okay.
The last one I did, it was a children's theatre production called Science Adventures: The Power Pickle. where I played a climatologist called Dr. Aries. That was a lot of fun. I got to wear a lab coat and everything. It was delightful.
Did you say the
So
power pickle?
the power pickle.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming they mean like a conundrum, not like the pig, like a
Well,
cucumber.
both, I guess, in a way. It is both.
Okay.
It's there is a conundrum, and perhaps one of the solutions involves a pickle. It's delightful. It was really fun. That was really fun because it was there was four of us in it, so there was a good back and forth repertoire. And I mean, we did it for like a good year. So by the end of the run, we definitely had it nailed. It was just by the last one, it really did feel like this is just a fun send off. We're all in this. The energy felt high, so that was a really that's the thing with children's theatre. The energy is always really high, so that
Yeah,
could be very very fun.
that's awesome. That sounds fun.
Mm. Yeah.
So, getting back to your YouTube channel, how did you pick the name Tomato Ghost?
So I noticed a pattern, at least back, what was it, 2010 was when it was really breaking out that sort of style. Everyone always had like a name that was like just two words spliced
A-
together, like
Adjective
John
animal.
Tron. Exactly, yeah. One of my friends had one that was really cool. I think it was like Atomic Walrus. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's a great name. But then I was like, oh, what do I like? Because I was just sat there for some reason on Steam was when I came up with it. I just said, what do I like? I was thinking about favorite, I don't know, Pokemon type. I like ghost Pokemon. My name's Tom. What ends with tomato? And originally it was Ghost Tomato, and then I flipped it, and I'm like, that rolls better, Tomato Ghost.
Do you like
Or,
tomatoes?
I do. I know some
Okay.
people only like them in like sauce form, but you know what? Sometimes a sliced tomato, throw that into a sandwich is a good time.
All right. That's good. That worked out then.
It did.
So, how do you decide what games to review for your channel?
It's funny. I knew for some reason I knew you were going to ask that. I'm glad you did because I had to think of an answer all day. So I
Perfect.
wished I
Perfect. You're prepared.
absolutely. I was hoping there'd be an answer by now. Really, it's just at this point, it's down to like what style of video I want to do. It's normally the live action stuff comes first now, and then it's the game. Like, for example, I'll spoil what the next one is. It's Nights into Dreams.
Ooh.
I've said that now on video, so I'm locked in for that now. But the reason I picked that is because my next big video is kind of yeah, the background stuff happened where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna delay that. I gotta work on a more I wanted to work on a more abstract thing of like what's kind and at the end of my last video was sort of going into another dimension. I'm like, what's kind of abstracty and in like a weird place and like a dreamlike thing. Oh, Nights in the Dreams does that. And it's like an hour long game, so it's easy to record and write notes. So yeah, it's, at this point it is what do I want to like do as a video?
That's awesome. I feel like that's a different approach for most people. So it kind of
Yeah.
you feel a little gap there, a niche, I guess.
Yeah, some mad people want to talk about games they like. That's absurd.
Right?
You don't want to talk about the Father Christmas, the cartoon? Nonsense.
No, but I mean the fact that you focus on the live action parts first,
Yeah,
um, I feel like those are usually an afterthought for people.
absolutely.
Like, how
But I
can I?
mean, after like Sonic Generations, I don't know. I actually don't know how much of that video was live action. It's probably a good half hour, I would have thought.
Mhm. That's awesome. Has your audience feedback affected your videos or what videos you make?
Actually, yeah, kind of, because there was a point where I'm like, people come, no, people Google and they're like, oh, okay, I want to watch a video about, Sonic and the Black Knight, which, a lot of people have done. And I'm like, but when people click on mine, it's like, oh man, you've done like kind of like, I just came for a review, but there's almost like a mini movie here. And I'm like, okay, so people do like this sort of like cinematic type style. I should probably stick with that and see what happens. And no one else has complained yet. And at this point, I like to think it kind of is what sets it apart, but
That's
we'll
what,
see.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. And you need
yeah,
something to set you apart with all of the game
definitely.
reviewers out there now. That's why I'm doing trying this interview show because
That is good.
thanks. Yeah, you just need to throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, I think.
Mm.
So you've done some collaborations.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any fun or interesting stories from those or any favorite moments?
I think actually my favorite one we did actually isn't even on my channel. It was for Bratcat's channel where she did it was like a weird Wii birthday game. And it was that thing like we me and Petronius happened like we've decided at the same time to actually go to Canada and we stayed with Bratcat and we are like, why don't we just actually film? just a skit because we're actually,
Yeah, may as
what are the
well.
chances? Exactly. What are the chances the three of us are going to be here? So that was an absolute ton of fun. That was really nice. Something about in-person collaborations. Obviously, logistically, it can be very hard.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's so many YouTubers I'd love to collaborate with, but they live in America or Australia and so on and so forth. Which is why I like to collaborate with Petronius because it's like we can just hang out in person and that's really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that one's on Bratcat's channel?
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to send you the link.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming that video is still up. I hope so.
I know you've expressed some dissatisfaction with your upload schedule.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you decide on your videos now? Is it just sort of when you feel inspired or
At
when you
this
have
point,
time?
it's I think the analogy I've always used is it's like I think from Doctor Who it was like punching a diamond wall. At this point, it's because between there's so much going on now, where I'm like I just haven't really got so much time to just be like I'm gonna sit down and edit this whole thing. Like yeah, I've been writing the Knights video and that it's like piece by piece getting through it. So if I could find time to do it, I'd love to definitely do it. At this point, I'm kind of hoping that because I keep getting random ideas, like the other day, there was a new game I wanted to review. So I was like, I'll put it on the list. I'll write. I've already started writing stuff for that. So I'm hoping it's sort of like a lot of them are kind of in the writing stage, and then they'll all hopefully be editing at the same time. So at some point, maybe there might just be like a splash of videos in like quick few months, but that's a pipe dream.
Oh, that'd be cool if you got there.
It would.
All right, getting into the fun stuff.
Hmm.
What is your favorite video game?
That's easy. My favorite video game is Banjo Kazooie.
Is it?
Oh, absolutely.
Is Tui close then, or is it
I
Kazooie?
liked I like Tui, but to me, Banjo Kazooie, I mean, to me, that's like a perfect 10. Like, I think it's a perfect game. The controls are perfect, levels perfect. I could not criticize Banjo Kazooie if my life depended on it. I'm that blind of loyalty. Tui to me is kind of like an 8 out of 10. I think it's still very good, but he, the worlds are really big to navigate. And I remember when Ukulele came out, and a big criticism was like, there's a lot of back and forth going back, sorry, like backtracking, and people playing Banjo Kazooie. But I'm like, nah, that Tui started that. Tui's the one where you really have to keep going back and forth with new abilities and the train. Kazooie though, only once or twice you have to backtrack, and that just makes for a nice smoother experience.
So, how do you feel about Mario 64? Because I love both those games, but I put Mario 64 a little above it.
That's fair. No, 64. I mean, that's groundbreaking. I think I one thing I noticed when 3D All Stars came back and like, oh, the world was playing Mario 64 again. For some, the first time. For some, the first time in years. It's definitely, I think, a bit more not necessarily dated, but just a bit rougher. Like the camera controls, and there are some I just nonsense stars like TikTok clock, for example. But I mean, it's the one that started it all. I can't really complain. I'm more of a Galaxy man. That's my favorite Mario. But 64, every now and then I will be like, no, I do like Babom Battlefield. That's a good one. And then it snowballs from there. And next thing you know, it's freaking what's the final level called? I can't Rainbow Ride.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that which I hate, but you know what? It's an epic way to finish.
I'm surprised. Yeah, if Banjo Kazooie is your favorite game, I'm surprised that Galaxy is your favorite Mario game because I feel like Banjo Kazooie is more sandboxy. So I
Mm.
would assume that you'd prefer the more sandboxy Mario's like 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey.
It's funny, I was thinking this exact same thing earlier because I think I was watching one of Scott the Waz's video about how Galaxy 2 is a bit more like arcadey, and I was thinking, yeah, Galaxy 1's really linear. It's just like get to the goal most times. But I think Galaxy 1, I mean, that is my second favorite game of all time, Galaxy 1. And that's because I mean the gameplay again, it's really tight controls and stuff like that. So it feels nice to play, but it's the atmosphere, it's the tone. There's something about like just listening to the music from Space Junk Galaxy. I'm like, that's space. That's just the solitude of being in space, just in the darkness with stars looking around. I'm like, it's a Galaxy was such a lightning in a bottle with tone and atmosphere. Even two couldn't quite capture that again. Like the box arts. The box art of one is like dark, starry background and nighttime. Box art for Galaxy 2, typical sunny, Green Hill Mario thing. I'm like, yeah, that kind of sums them up.
Yeah.
Mm,
You know what's funny about Galaxy? I feel like I went in sort of biased
yeah.
because I didn't like the space levels from Sonic Adventure 2. And when I saw that gravity gimmick, I was like, oh no, it's just gonna be like the
That's
space
fair.
levels from Sonic Adventure 2.
That's why no one likes the space levels in Sonic Adventure 2. Maybe Meteor Herd, but certainly not. Oh, God, was it Mad Space, the Rouge one? Ah, awful, awful level.
All right, favorite Sonic game.
Oh, I thought I'd have a knee jerk instant like that one. Adventure. That's it. Adventure 1.
Adventure
That's
1.
the one. I almost thought like, ooh, Unleashed maybe, but no, Adventure 1. That'll always be. I mean, I like how we've gone from like my first favorite game, second favorite, third favorite is Adventure. So we're going ticking through them one by one.
That's awesome. I'm asking the right questions then, huh?
keep naming franchises. I'm sure they're within my favorite games.
Um, well, I want to stick on Sonic for a while because
That's
I
fair.
feel
No,
like
please do.
we can talk a lot about that.
Absolutely.
Um, so Adventure 1 is
Mm.
I love the game, but it's probably 4 or 5 as far as my top 5 go. And that's because of the sort of the pace breaking sections, mainly like the Big the Cat levels and then the flight levels. I hate those
Oh, yeah, I'll admit those.
tornado levels.
Yeah, I love Adventure. It's my favorite Sonic game. It's my third favorite game. I'm not gonna pretend it's perfect. It's definitely one of the more dated Sonic games because it was. I know we've had 3D kind of 3D Sonic before, but this was the first dedicated, and it kind of shows.
Oh yeah. Favorite Sonic character.
Oh no, it's gonna be some version of Sonic, be it the Hedgehog or Metal. I actually can't decide between. I know it's really basic to say Sonic's my favorite, but he was always the one I gravitated
I,
towards. But
okay,
Metal Sonic, yeah, him as well.
okay, Metal Sonic's a good because I feel like I
Mm,
maybe I should have said favorite non-Sonic Sonic character because it is you're right.
okay.
It's too easy.
Man,
But
Sonic's the best.
Metal's
Yeah,
a good
Metal Sonic. Yeah, if
and I'm
ever he's
assuming
playable, I'm on it. Like I mean, even Sonic Free Riders, I'm like, yeah, Metal Sonic's the main villain. That's one plus.
CD is the design of him you like?
Oh yeah, I would say Heroes maybe as well. Actually, Neo Metal Sonic. That's a
Oh yeah,
beautiful thing right there.
he's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
We were talking a bit the other day about the voice actors for Sonic.
Oh yeah.
You said that if you had your way with the
Mm.
series, you would replace all of them, were you saying?
I think I would wipe the slate. It sounds awful, especially in light of what just happened with Mario. But I think because obviously, the current voice cast, they're very good. And obviously I love how much they care about the series, like the way they interact. You see Roger Craig Smith and Mike Pollock on Twitter and stuff, and they do all those like tweet video things. Those are really fun. But I'm
Yeah,
like,
the Twitter
they have been,
takeovers.
oh yeah, those ones. It's like they have been doing it for over 10 years. And and because Sonic, to me at least at the moment, the series is kind of a bit complacent. I would like a complete shake up, fresh start for just Sonic as a whole.
I feel like Frontiers might have been the start of that. I I
Hopefully,
really like the direction it went in after
I like the
Forces.
I like the direct. I Frontiers. Frontiers is interesting because it's like okay, you got oh go how did I forget his name? Oh, who's the writer from the comics?
Oh, Ian
Ian
Flynn?
Flynn. Yeah, they got Ian Flynn. I'm like, great start, and it shows like the interactions between like Sonic and Knuckles. That's beautiful. That's perfect. My problem now is when you got the writing a bit more in order, but some things still look a bit like cutscene animation where I'm just like, you need a bit like it's something a bit stilted about it all. And it's
Yeah,
weird because you had it great with Unleashed. I don't know how have we not hit the quality of Unleashed?
that's what I
Not
was just gonna
necessarily,
say.
yeah,
Unleashed cutscenes are so good.
they're stunning. Even like the in-engine ones still look better than they do now. I don't know how we've gone. Oh, I know how we've gone backwards because of budget and things. And Forces is definitely low budget, but Frontiers, I thought at least at least be to the Xbox 360. But no, we're still not there.
Yeah, it's amazing that we haven't
Mm.
hit that peak again yet.
Someday.
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 How about your favorite Sonic soundtrack or just
Oh,
music track if you have one?
mercy. No, that's a tough. I'll try and answer both because that's a tough one. I think I'd still go Adventure One because there's such like a I don't know how to describe it, like a dirty guitar sound to predominantly a lot of it, like the ice cap snowboarding song or like the menu music. I'm like, that just sounds so like
The butt
like
rock.
but yeah, it's butt rock. But it and I love, I appreciate what Adventure 2 did with this, like every character has a different genre. That's genius, but just something about that butt rock. Although I think as a second choice, I mean, Mania. Mania was a banger. I was really not expecting to appreciate how hard that soundtrack would go.
It was really good.
It was beautiful. But favorite song? Oh, I should know. Oh, I'm an idiot. Also, great underrated soundtrack. Sonic Rider Zero Gravity. I think that's a really good soundtrack, and the main theme was easily my favorite vocal song. I mean, I gushed about it in my Zero Gravity video years ago, and I stand by it. Ungravitify is a masterpiece.
It is really good.
So
Yeah,
good.
you can't go wrong with any of the Sonic picks. They all have such good music.
Absolutely. Even the worst game, I'm like I look at something like '06, I'm like, that might be one of the best soundtracks. And it's from '06.
Although, there are one or two Sonic games I haven't played. I haven't played the Sonic Boom games, and I don't know if those have good soundtracks.
I don't know if they count. They're more like licensed games based on a Cartoon Network show. I'm not sure if I count those.
Right. Do you participate at all in the Sonic Amateur Game Expo? Do you ever look into that?
I've looked into it. There have been some fantastic things coming from. Am I right in thinking I saw a logo? Is that the one that may have had knights in it? I can't remember, but
I
there's
think so, yeah.
I think it's a Knights theme, which I'm like, well, that ties in perfectly to what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, there have been some fantastic things from the. Is it? There's that. Is it Sonic Triple Trouble remake? I think people are doing. I'm like, that is. I love that idea of like fan remaking a classic game if within legal limits. It's not Nintendo, so it's fine. Poor Metroid, but yeah. No, I mean the fan game community is absolutely insane. I don't and again, it's led to some amazing official products like Mania, which is beautiful. And I think is Superstars kind of linked? I can't remember. Probably
Yeah,
not.
I think
Oh,
I,
it is.
I think some of the Mania team is working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Sonic fan community is fantastic. Like
absolutely.
I look forward to that Sage every year, and even
Has
though there's
to.
like hundreds of demos now, I always go through them and see what they got because they always
Mm.
have some good stuff in there.
Absolutely. I really need to branch out and play so many more. Like I think it's like, is it Time Twisted was one of the big ones. I'm like, I keep hearing about that one, and I really should play it.
Yeah, but I mean, I barely have time to play the official ones, so making time
Well,
to play
yeah.
the unofficial ones is pretty tough.
That's why I keep replaying short games. I'm like, it's all I've got. There's so many RPGs I love to play, but it's like, oh, 70 hours. I haven't really got that at the moment, but I'll play a 6 hour game easily.
So, what are some of your other favorite series?
I mean, the big one is Persona. Absolutely. I've only recently really got into it. I played 5 back in 2019, and then over lockdown, I finally sat down and played 4 and 3. And my God, those are masterpieces. They've changed my life, not to sound dramatic, but
Really?
just I don't know, just because there's something about the mindset of I don't know, just something about like 4 especially really hit me. Like that's one of the only games that ever left me like actually in tears by the end. I'm like, oh, you've done some beautiful things with this, and just something about how it's obviously the RPG stuff is great. I love the combat's brilliant, all of them, but really I play them for the real life stuff, the everyday stuff. That's what hooks me. Just those building bonds and like just living day to day. That especially when that was during lockdown when we couldn't really do that. It was brilliant escapism.
I, I have like, I put 5 hours into Persona 4 and maybe 10 hours into Persona 3. And
Mm,
I couldn't, they're just such long games, such huge time
very long.
investments. But I should go back and play them, huh?
I
Finish them.
think I think what helps with the Persona games, at least 3 onwards, is unlike other RPGs, they're really split up into nice bite-sized chunks. So it's like even though I mean, Persona 5 Royal is probably like, I think that took me like 110 hours, but because you're doing it day by day by day, it's way easier to be like, oh, okay, today I'm just playing to the end of this week in game. And so it's much easier to just split up. And Persona 5 is kind of like mini story arcs. So it flows very well. Well, Persona 3 or 4 just long stories, but again, it's split up day by day. So I, I I haven't played a ton of JRPGs, at least modern big ones like Xenoblade or stuff like that. But from what I can tell, I think Persona is a great jumping on one because of that accessibility.
I'll have to give it another try.
Mm,
I mean, so many people say Persona 5 is like one of the best games ever. I got to try it.
I mean, 4 and 5. I mean, I get three's obviously a masterpiece, but I think it's you can tell it's like growing pains are still working a few mechanics out, and then by 3 and 5, sorry, 4 and 5, nailed it. So hopefully the remake will be exactly what we need.
You said you played some older JRPGs. You mean like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, that sort of thing?
I only recently got into Dragon Quest. I haven't played the old ones yet. I did play 11, and the thing that just instantly hooked me, I was like, "Oh, I'm so in." Was it was British voice actors,
Oh yeah.
which I was like, "Oh my god, that gives me hope. If I can get into a Dragon Quest game, that would be amazing." But yeah, I've played. I haven't shock shocking gaming sin. I haven't finished Final Fantasy 7, but I've played a lot of it. I'm like, I can see why this is considered one of the greats, and I definitely want to go back and play 6. I think 6 was just put on Switch. The Switch has become a great RPG machine. There's so like I think the original Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, hopefully some more on there, Persona. But yeah, I think it's just something about modern RPGs that I find it a bit harder to get into. But now
I
I've cracked
agree.
that Persona seal. I want to try Xenoblade Chronicles. That's the one I'm like that really appeals.
Two, especially, I hear, is where they really start
Mm.
ramping things up.
Oh yeah, there's 3 of them now. Technically X, but I mean Nintendo won't acknowledge X happened. Tragic.
How about like Zelda?
Yeah, that's. I mean, to me, I think that's the best. That's the best Nintendo franchise. I think that's it. And again, top 10 game of mine, Majora's Mask. That is that's art. That's
Yeah.
just Nintendo's masterpiece. And it shows I don't think they know what they had. I think that was lightning in a bottle. I don't think even they know why it worked because even the remake, it didn't quite capture it, despite the fact it's technically the same game. So, and enough was changed where I'm like, you didn't know why it worked. Tears of the Kingdom came close to capturing the vibe, though. There were some Majora's Mask isms in there, and that's exactly what I wanted. Again, another masterpiece.
Do you prefer, would you say, the more linear Zeldas over the newer open world ones?
I It's a tough one because I think this is where Zelda's at now because the last 2 have been so good. But I do, as much as I adore Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they are masterpieces, incredible genre-defining games. But something about that formula of just like you're in a dungeon, you get an item, you use the item to beat the boss. It's technically repetitive, but I'm like, that's Zelda. That's just how it has been since the 80s. And it's
It's
nice
what,
they shook it up, but every now and then I pop in Majora's Mask or Skyward Sword. I'm like, this just flows really well.
that's what I was going to ask about next with Skyward Sword, because that's actually where I totally like stopped. I would, if things had continued on Skyward Sword's trajectory, I might have stopped playing Zelda because I got so burnt out after that one.
I think Skyward Sword, I've spent like whenever it came out, I spent like since then. It is one of my favorite Zeldas. I love Skyward Sword, but I do get why people don't like it. And I think to me, it's not necessarily the game. It's more just the my own personal experience applied onto it, which obviously no one else really has, so they can't necessarily relate to why I love it. And it's like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I get it, I understand it, but I still love it.
I in my this Zelda video that I made a month or two ago now, I talked about I remember the exact moment where I stopped playing Skyward Sword.
Oh God, was it
Um,
the imprisoned?
no, it was you go back to the forest and it's flooded and they say, "Hey, go swim in the water and find 50 of these things."
Yeah, yeah, that I can't defend that.
Is it
I
is so
think,
is it worth it going back doing that?
I I'd still say yes because I think Skyward Sword, the set what sets it apart. I think it has the best dungeon in any Zelda game. It was one of the. I mean, I love Zelda, my favorite Nintendo franchise, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I like exploring. I don't want to go in a dungeon. But Skyward Sword, I was like, no, I'm looking forward to these dungeons. These are genius. Like the Sand Ship and the Ancient Cistern are two of the best Zelda dungeons ever. Phenomenal bosses, and I think it had the best final boss in the series until Tears of the Kingdom, which just trounced it. But yeah, the final boss of Skyward Sword, that blew my mind.
Okay, I'll go back and give it a shot. Should I try it? Should I go back to the Wii version I was playing, or should I get it on Switch?
I think the HD version,
Yeah.
because there's, I think it wasn't just a complete upscale. It did change a few things, like the amount of times that Fee would talk to you has significantly cut down. Thank
That
God.
would be another major
Oh
improvement.
yeah, and I think you can play it with the Pro controller, but I'm not certain how the like sword motion works. I think it's like you control it with the second stick. I don't know if that works or not. I need to give it a try.
A lot of times these are one and the same for people, but do you have any favorite stories in games?
Oh, like the actual narrative.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, I could just say Persona 4
that's what I
again
was
because I
gonna
think
say. Is it
yeah,
just
that's
Persona?
exact. It was gonna be Persona specifically. I think 4 has the best plot. I know people say 3 or 5, but like 4, the genius of 4's plot is that I mean this isn't the spoiler. I mean it's the start of the game. The plot has begun before the player character even knows they're involved, and I think that is freaking genius. The way that and the amount of foreshadowing is insane. Outside of Persona, though, I think Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I mean any of the Ace Attorney games. And you know what? One of my favorite games actually is Tales from the Borderlands. I think that's a
Oh yeah.
highly underrated game and I think that's a masterpiece. I think that's fantastic. The writing in that is genius. I don't know how it belongs in Borderlands. I like Borderlands. I don't really play them for the plot,
Yeah.
except Tales. That just this gem came out of nowhere and just brought that world to life with fantastic characters. Which
That's
and it's just a shame that it kind of went under the radar.
that was actually you beat me to my next question. I was gonna ask you who's your favorite character in games.
Uh, there's two that just sprang to mind then, and they're both from games I just mentioned. Yeah, I mean Joker from Persona 5. I mean that kind of goes without saying at this point. And Reese from Tales from the Borderlands, easily Troy Baker's best performance. God damn, what a fantastic character! And you know what? I'll just throw them a bone. I love Banjo and Kazooie. I think they're just really fun characters. It's nice that uh, a platformer isn't bogged down by like a mute, bland. No offense to Mario, not bland. I didn't mean it, Mario, but just there's no real character to Mario. But Banjo and Kazooie are just at each other's throats for like the entire game, and that's just hilarious.
You really lucked out with Smash Ultimate then, huh?
Oh my god! Oh my god! The amazing part is I lost my mind over Joker. I hadn't even played Persona 5 at that point. It was just like top of list games I know I need to play. And Smash Brothers just validated it. I'm like, oh, it's good enough for Smash. All right. And of course, when Banjo, oh god, when that Jiggy jumped across the screen, just screaming, just absolutely lost my mind.
So do you main
Uh,
those two in Smash then,
oh
Banjo and
yeah,
Joker?
Banjo and Joker, absolutely. Joker took me a while to get because he's kind of a gimmicky character, but now I get how he works. Banjo though, he just felt like he's always been in Smash. He just had a classic move set with no real like gimmicky nonsense, which on one hand makes the DLC characters unique. On the other hand, kind of hard to pick up. But Banjo, anyone can play as them. It's like they've been in there since Melee, as they rightfully deserved.
Totally agree. Yeah, I even though I'm not like the biggest Banjo fan, I
Mm.
love him in Smash because it's just
Yeah,
so unique compared to the other DLC characters. Like I
yeah.
there's the whole meme, oh, another anime swordsman. I was kind of on that too. I was like, yeah, I am getting a little tired of the anime swordsman. So
I mean,
Banjo was awesome.
I yeah, no, I do kind of agree with the anime. For me, it was a ratio thing because there are anime swordmen I would like to see. There's even Fire Emblem characters I'd like to see. They never pick the interesting ones, though, is the problem. They always pick the default protagonist where I'm like, you could have so many great side characters in Fire Emblem. You could have had different classes, for God's sake. Enough swordsmen. Have Hector from the GBA one with an axe. That would be nice.
Who else would you add to Smash?
Oh, my number one would be Phoenix Wright. I think
Oh, that would be
that's
so
just a
good.
what a I mean, he was in Marvel versus Capcom. and that's like an intense fighting game. If you can work there, you can work in Smash. And also, I'm still that one guy. I don't know. Actually, since the RPG, yeah, Gino. I was about to say because Mario RPG is coming out,
Right.
so hopefully the Gino train has continued to come back now. Because I think after Ultimate, I think hope kind of died, and now he's back in HD on the Switch.
Yeah, it's really it'll be really interesting to see if they ever make a new Smash what it's going to be like because
It's going to be a long ways off, though. I think
yeah,
well,
I
for
don't
at least
know
eight
because they
years.
say the next Nintendo console is coming out next year. So,
Is it wrong? I kind of hope it doesn't because that requires just buying a new console.
right?
I'm really
No.
enjoying the Switch. I think it's a really the library on Switch is insane, and I feel like this year and last year they've done a great job. I've been looking forward to ports. I think a lot of great like we're getting Metal Gear Solid trilogy on Switch. I'm like, oh my god, yes. We got Metroid Prime. We're getting Luigi's Mansion 2. It's like you're really ramping up these ports of games that should be on there. I kind of want to keep that train going. Also,
Yeah.
it means they'll probably reset the like virtual console system
Oh
again.
God, I hope not.
We only just got gold now. You're gonna go back to Mario 64 only, aren't you?
Oh yeah, the next Nintendo console needs to have full
Mm,
backwards compatibility, at least with the
yeah.
Switch.
And I'm just praying that because it's a subscription service, they won't reset. The new console will launch with the current, N64 Game Boy lineup and be like, yeah, we're just continuing from here.
It
Because there's
needs
still some
to.
classics not on there.
People will riot if it doesn't.
Yeah, God, yeah. So we've got a new console, and guess what? You're getting Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. I'm like, we're starting from scratch. Great.
Do they do they even have Duck Hunt on the Virtual Console or the
Oh,
eShop?
you're right. Now I don't know why. I think I combined them because of the cartridge. It was on Wii U.
Yeah.
It was on Wii. I remember
Was
that
okay.
because which was brilliant. And I think they kind of fixed it because it wouldn't work on flat screen. So it's like, I think they made it with a Wii pointer, which they could do that
Oh yeah.
on Switch. And there are some classics like Donkey Kong 64, Super Smash Brothers. There's still a few. I'm like, why aren't they on there?
Right. You mentioned Metal Gear earlier. I want to go back to
Yeah,
that because I love the Metal Gear series.
yeah.
What's your favorite MGS title?
Metal Gear. My favorite
That's pretty
is
good. That's a good impression.
thank you. My favorite is got it's so basic. I'm rarely this basic with franchises. Metal Gear Solid 1. I think it just flows so well. I can't explain it. There's something about the graphics. I can't explain it. Again, it goes back to tone and vibe. Like I love Snake Eater. I know why that's people's favorites, but it's like the jungle setting. A lot of great games have also done that. Uncharted, Tomb Raider. There's only one Metal Gear Solid 1. I feel like nothing's really captured that again. And I'm not throwing two to the curb without mentioning it. I love the trilogy. But yeah, one. And you know what? I'll throw a bone to the 8-bit original ones are actually really underrated. And I'm glad they're coming to Switch too.
Nice. What do you think about Twin Snakes?
I get why it had to be done. It's just I mean, it's very much in the same vein. It's like synergy with Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm like, okay, 2 went absolutely balls to the wall insanity. We've got to bring 1 up to that level. And then 3 mellowed out with a more serious plot. But Twin Snakes is funny. I don't know. Yeah, it had to be done. I get it. And I'm surprised they haven't re-released that one yet. Because even though it's really goofy, gameplay wise, it is a nice refined version of the original.
I think so many people just trash it though. It would be like re-releasing Sonic 06.
I think some would want that. They're probably cool
I
for
would
that.
want that, honestly. If they
I
made
think, yeah.
if Sega hired what's his face? The guy who's working on that Sonic 06
Oh, is it Chaos
or
X? Is that their
yeah,
name?
Chaos X. If
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
hired him and
That's
just
brilliant, by the way. Yeah.
right and just took what he's done with that game and re-released it, I would love that.
There is a point. Okay, I'm not a developer. I don't know or a publisher. I don't know the logistics. I wonder if there is a point where a company will look at a fan game and just be like, can we just buy it off you and
Right?
just
That's what
sell
I'm
it as if
thinking. That's what they
like
need to do. Just buy it.
like if Project oh 06 or if that is finished, refined, at what point is Sega like, "Ah, that's better than we're gonna do. Let's just do that. Like, can we just buy that and release that?
Right?
Give them a cut of the profit. Well, majority because they made the damn thing single handed. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know how fan games work. Again, Nintendo was like, "What's that? You're remaking Metroid 2, but we're remaking Metroid 2. Let's just kick you to touch and people play our one.
Yeah, what's that? You're doing a Mario also Battle Royale game? No,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
doing that instead. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's a nice sign if Nintendo does that. It's like, oh, it means they're working on it. So like when Mother 4 was being made by fans and Nintendo said nothing, I was like, well, I guess that says that. That's that for Mother then. If we're
Uh,
fine doing that.
yeah. Do you have any upcoming games that you're looking forward to?
I think Mario RPG might be the big one because I just never ever predicted that would ever happen. Because I noticed like, oh, it's not on Switch Online Mario RPG. It's like the one Super Nintendo game left that isn't on there. Why? Oh, this is why. I assumed it was because I thought it was the opposite. I thought they didn't want to acknowledge it ever. I mean, they took Geno out of the Superstar Saga remake. I was like, oh, okay, they've done with RPG, and then bam, it's beautiful. And also I mean, Persona 3 Reload, obviously, but the problem now is I don't know what it is. I'm more excited for like re-releases and remakes than I am new games, and it sounds awful.
I
Like,
get it.
like some of my friends are like, oh, I'm really looking forward to Starfield. I'm like, okay, Starfield looks cool, but Mario RPG is getting a remake, and that's awesome. We're getting Metal Gear Solid and Arkham City on Switch. I've got those games already, but on Switch, no, I don't. I don't
Yes.
know why. The older I get them, I just like my comfort games. But I'm open to try new things. Like I mean, this year alone, we had Hi-Fi Rush, which was incredible. I was again, that was a me game, and Pizza Tower, which was one of a kind.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's not all modern games, but ton of
Mm.
modern games, especially AAA ones, just feel so samey, and they don't have a lot of the charm that the older games had.
Also, it's like I can't. They're more expensive these days, and it's like I can't guarantee like they'll even be finished or run. Again, I think Starfield will be good. It's from the makers of Skyrim and Fallout. I'm like great, but they're also kind of buggy games. And I think, now I'm just used to like, oh, a big AAA game, that's not going to run at launch, except
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate, apparently. Apparently that run flawlessly with no needed DLC. So my respect to Baldur's Gate 3.
right.
Haven't played it
No, I haven't either. I want to though. It's like crazy how out of nowhere that game came. Like I had no idea. I had maybe heard of the series
though.
like forever
Yeah, I
ago,
heard of it.
and then
I didn't know what it was, but now like everyone I know is playing it. I'm like, okay, geez,
I
okay, it's a
yeah, I
big
had no
game.
idea it was coming out, and then all of a sudden I heard about the scene with the bear, and then immediately everyone I knew was playing it. It's like what?
That's a good cause and effect. I heard about the bear scene, and now everyone was playing it. I'm like, because of the bear scene, apparently.
I didn't get it. It was so weird, but whatever.
So hopefully Starfield's very much the same. I want it to be good just so that people are happy. Also,
Right.
oh, I forgot Spider-Man 2. How could I
Oh,
forget? I mean, yeah, the first one's fantastic, and I trust this team with it.
me too. They've been releasing those like several like I feel like the last trailer was like 10, 15 minutes long, and I was like
Oh yeah.
I'm not even gonna watch it because I already know I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna love it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of plot in it where I'm like, has that given me ideas of plot now? Maybe I should have gone in blind.
Mm. Do you have
Oh
any advice that you want to give to other creators or just other people in general?
well. I mean, the main one I would pass on was what Youngtown said in that panel where I'm just like, oh, I mean, especially nowadays. Nowadays, it's so easy to make like record games and get like back in 2010, 2015. I mean, phones now, that's a camera alone. And yeah, I mean, just do it. Like if you watch my first video, you're just like the audio quality sucks, the editing's really slow, there's no script, but you're only gonna get better the more you do it. And but also just a minor thing, one tip I always remember is people will forgive what is it? People will forgive video over sound. So like if you have the app, if you got a crappy camera but a good mic, that's fine. Other way around, not so good. And I think for me, I because of how slow I am with videos, I'm not gonna be one of those people that like this is their career. And I think that's kind of a nicer mindset where you're not worried about algorithms. You're not worried about these copyright claims like, oh, I can't monetize now because Nintendo didn't let me using 3 seconds of this song. If you're just doing it because you like it, that's way nicer. Also, I don't actually know what I'm guessing there is. I haven't been fully on top of new ones. I'm guessing there's still like this demand for like video game, these very characterful video game. I mean, Scott the Woz is huge now, and he's still doing the same thing in a good way. Like he hasn't conformed to like what gets clicks and things. He doesn't clickbait. He doesn't. He just makes fun videos. So if you're not a clout chaser, you'll enjoy it. Otherwise, it'll be very stressful, I'm sure. And I wish I had more advice, but that's all that comes to mind.
That's pretty good. I like that.
That's more than I thought I would say.
And do you have anything you'd like to plug, or I guess you plugged your upcoming
Ah,
video earlier?
oh yeah, Nights into Dreams. Hopefully, I won't say anytime soon, but definitely, I will have at least one video out this year. So, oh, I mean, I started streaming this year as well on Twitch at TomatoGhost Haunts because TomatoGhost already exists apparently. I don't know who they are, but I will find them. And yeah, so I mean, not semi-regularly. Again, free time thing. Like I think I'm gonna stream Pikmin 2 sometime soon. Oh, looking forward to those ports as well. Pikmin 1 and 2 physical release. That was off topic. My mind's wandering now. So yeah, I mean, Tomato Goes Haunts on Twitch, and yeah, if you just want to go on my channel, there's an update video that's relatively new that explains who's new to the channel, what's going on. So yeah, keep on the lookout for hopefully Nights into Dreams at some point soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on today.
Thank you for
Awesome
having me. It's
talking
been
with you.
very fun. It's been nice to
Awesome.
talk.
We'll do this again sometime then.
Oh yeah, no, this has been fun. I'm sure there's to talk about.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Nice.
Take care.
You too.